Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Will Dupree here in the KXAN Live studio. Early voting started today all across Texas for the primary runoff elections. Now, tonight, we're bringing you a much closer look at one key race here in Travis County, and that's, of course, for the race for district attorney. We're holding a live conversation tonight between the two candidates in the Democratic primary runoff. That's incumbent DA Margaret Moore and challenger José Garza. Due to social distancing this evening, we're doing this all via Zoom, so much of life has become virtual at this point. So now we're going to send it over to Josh Hinkle, who hosts our Sunday morning politics program, State of Texas, to moderate this conversation. Josh, we'll send it over to you now to get everything started.
Great, thanks, Will. Well, as you said, this is a conversation between the candidates and not a formal debate. We will ask a series of questions and give each candidate an opportunity to give their answers in the spirit of a valuable and respectful conversation. We've asked the candidates to not interrupt each other. We want to start tonight by asking each candidate to tell us a little bit about their background and the reason for running for DA. We'll start with Mr. Garza.
Good evening, Josh. It's so good to be with you, and I'm so grateful to everyone at home who's tuned in for this important conversation. My name is José Garza, and I'm running to be your district attorney because right here in Travis County, our criminal justice system is broken. In the most progressive county in the state, 9% of our population is Black, but over 25% of the population of our jail is Black. But it doesn't have to be this way. I believe that we have the power to fix this. I started my career as a public defender down on the border, both working at the state and federal level. And in those jobs, I saw every single day, Josh, the way that our criminal justice system weighs most heavily on working class people and on people of color. But I also had the opportunity to serve in the Obama administration, and it has been the privilege of my career to lead Workers' Defense Project here in town. And in those jobs, what I learned is the power that regular people have, that everyone who is watching at home has to change their community, to change this county, and most certainly to fix and repair our broken criminal justice system. So I'm really grateful to be with you today, and I'm hopeful that everyone listening at home will join our movement to reimagine justice in Travis County.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garza. DA Moore, your turn.
Thank you. I am Margaret Moore, and I was elected Travis County District Attorney 4 years ago, but I've served this community for over 4 decades now in various positions of public trust. I was a juvenile public defender here, and I also served as an assistant district attorney in Ronnie Earl's first term, where I got a lot of experience handling cases of all kinds, all felony cases, and tried dozens of jury trials. I was elected county attorney in 1980, and I served a term in that office and brought to that office improvements in the way that we tried DWI cases, which was a major issue at that time. I also started Diversion in Travis County. We pioneered ways to divert people out of the criminal justice system and find alternatives to prosecution for low-level crimes. I did 2 tours of duty on the Travis County Commissioner's Court representing Precinct 3 when our commissioner resigned. And I learned all of the nuts and bolts of county government and a deep appreciation for how to be very careful with taxpayer dollars. They're hard to come by. Finally, I did a stint at the Texas Attorney General's office prosecuting civil Medicaid fraud cases, recovering hundreds of millions of dollars for Texas Medicaid. I came out of retirement to run for district attorney because I wanted to build a strong DA's office that this community could be proud of, one that is totally in line with Travis County progressive values. And I am very, very proud of my record in 3.5 years. We have expanded diversion. We have really accomplished decarceration. Most people don't realize it, but we have sent fewer and fewer people to prison and state jail under my administration for a total reduction of 36% to state jail, 22% fewer going to the Texas Department of Corrections. We have focused on violent crime. I created a family violence unit because that is a very large and serious problem in our community, devoting 10 lawyers to that specific area of prosecution. I created the first adult sexual assault unit in Travis County. We have now built that unit to 3 lawyers, 3 counselors, and an investigator. And we are complying and in line with the very best practices across the country there. We have reduced felony convictions for low-level offenses like theft and possession of a controlled substance by over 90%, using a state jail court that takes those cases off of our district court dockets so they can concentrate on the more serious crimes. But perhaps most timely of all and most important of all, I created a civil rights division to handle in a bring new and important reforms to the way we treat our investigations of officer-involved use of force cases. And we also have a conviction integrity unit, which all modern prosecutors have founded to examine prior convictions to see if there's something that needs to be revisited. In short, that's progress. It's real progress in Travis County, and I want for more years to continue to build on that foundation.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that you brought up use of force because that's my first question. There have been some people who have said they've been critical over how long it sometimes takes to investigate use of force cases when police are accused of using use of force too broadly. Cases like the Javier Ambler case most recently. Is that something you would like to speed up?
Well, let me tell you what our 3 foundation principles are. One is that we are fair and that we are thorough and that we are transparent. These are very difficult cases to prosecute. Any prosecutor with any experience will tell you that. So to be thorough, it often takes time. And for instance, when you say, well, I'd like to get that done within 30 days of an incident, and you don't know that it usually takes much longer than that to even get the medical examiner's report, then you are leading people into false expectations. Yes, I'd love for these cases to be handled much more quickly, but I also know the realities of what it takes to do them right, what a grand jury expects if you're going to take it to a grand jury, how many facts have to be assembled when, in our case, what we handle is declination letters that are published on our website, how much time it takes to assemble all of that information, apply the law to it, and write it up. But most of all, I think it's important that we are transparent and that we tell the community what we are doing, why we are doing it, and we do it in a way that is designed to build the confidence of this community. I listened to many voices in this community as we began to build our civil rights division. We have components in our program that are unique to Travis County, like our use of a special grand jury to hear these cases, the family contact that we establish and the assignment of a victim counselor to those families, the decision not to take every case to a grand jury because we thought, and this is a very important issue to me, we thought it was extremely important that we be as transparent as possible. And if you go to the grand jury, you cloak that investigation in secrecy. And one of the things we heard over and over again as we went through the community talking to activists and people who have deep roots here and deep concerns about this area was they didn't get enough information. So we decided that, and when we could tell that a case was not going to get indicted by a Travis County grand jury, we would decline the case, publish these declination letters, and give the community the chance to see every fact about the case and how the law applied to it. We also established the Civil Rights Advisory Council, and we have a broad base of great opinion leaders in this county who come to our meetings, who review our casework, who look at the bigger picture and give us their feedback so that we make adjustments along the way to improve what we're doing. I am proud of our results. We have reviewed 102 cases in that division. We now handle not just lethal cases, but also use of force cases less than lethal. And in fact, we have taken officers to jury trial, not only gotten in the indictments, we've had jury trials that were not held here before. In 13 years before I took office, one indictment was returned and no cases were tried. We have now had 2 jury trials, 21 indictments against 8 different individuals, a peace officer or public safety official. So I believe we're holding officers accountable, because when they are investigated, when a case is presented to a grand jury, when a letter is published that demonstrates what exactly happened, that is accountability, because it tells the community what happened.
Mr. Garza, if elected, how would your office handle such cases?
Josh, right here in the most progressive county in the state, members of our community, especially people of color, are hurt or killed every single year at the hands of law enforcement officers. And in the last 4 years, not a single officer has been held accountable for those acts of violence against members of our community. Here are the facts. In the last 4 years, not a single officer who has killed a member of our community has been charged with the crime, and not a single officer who has engaged in misconduct of any kind has been convicted of a crime. The public can see full well that currently law enforcement officers who commit harm against our community are not being held accountable. There are significant changes that we need to make to increase independence, the independence of the district attorney's office and the transparency of the district attorney's office, to make it easier for our community to hold our criminal justice system accountable. First, and I think this is really important, I have pledged never to, and I have not to this point, accept a dime of campaign contributions from a police organization. My opponent, on the other hand, is the largest recipient of campaign contributions from police organizations on the ballot in Travis County on July 14th. It is critically important that the community here in Travis County has a district attorney who is unbought by the people that they have a responsibility to hold accountable. But it's also important that we move these cases expeditiously. And that's why I have committed to take all of these cases in front of a grand jury within 30 days of receiving them. I've committed that if for some reason we are not prepared to take that case to a grand jury within 30 days, to issue a public statement so that our community knows that the district attorney's office is taking this case seriously and fighting for the victims, and to offer an explanation of why it is our office needs more time. I have pledged further to update that statement every 14 days so that our community can hold us accountable, so that the families of people who have been hurt and killed by members of law enforcement have some sense of what's going on in their case. I've also pledged, and I think it is time, that we expand the kinds of offenses that are investigated and prosecuted by a special unit within the district attorney's office. For example, right now, if a law enforcement officer commits a crime while they're off duty, that case is investigated and prosecuted through the normal course of business within the district attorney's office by the line attorneys who work with law enforcement every single day. That's not independence, and we can do better. But there are also acts of misconduct that occur every day that don't rise to the level of a crime. Josh, you're probably aware that it has been widely reported, both at the beginning of this year and at the end of last, that there was a culture of racism at the very top of the Austin Police Department. I believe that we should institute policies that make clear that that kind of behavior will not be tolerated. And so I have pledged to create a public no-call list that we will place law enforcement officers on who have engaged in misconduct. where there is evidence that they have engaged in racist or xenophobic behavior, where they have a history of failing to turn on their body cameras in accordance with policy, or where they have committed other kinds of misconduct. That kind of misconduct erodes the trust of our criminal justice system, and that makes all of us less safe.
DA Moore, Mr. Garza just mentioned about your campaign donations. There have been several officials here locally and statewide that have vowed not to take funding from police organizations. Would you like to respond to that?
I would. I don't think Mr. Garza doesn't know me. We never met each other before this race. And the idea that I can be bought is absolutely absurd and false. And my friends know that. In fact, the local leaders who support me here know perfectly well that you cannot buy Margaret Moore. They wouldn't support me. Lloyd Doggett, Kirk Watson, the members of the House, Eddie Rodriguez, Donna Howard, Celia Israel, the Mayor Adler, Judge Eckhart, goes on and on. They know perfectly well that my integrity is above reproach. What is interesting to me is that Mr. Garza is criticizing me for taking, I think, $11,000 from the Austin Police Association over the course of this campaign, but he's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from people we don't even know because they're PACs organized out of state, and that money is absolutely unaccounted for. So let's don't go there. I don't think he can be bought, and I know I can't be bought. Let's talk about instead what's important about a civil rights division that fits this county and answers the needs of the people in this county, because that's what I did. And that's why I have the support of people like Nelson Linder, who is the president of Austin NAACP, because he participated with me in the envisioning of how this unit could work and how it could address the concerns in Travis County. And you do not see African-American leaders calling for this return to secrecy in the grand jury, to take these cases back behind closed doors so that they cannot get the facts. No, they support what we're doing. And that's an important point, because I think the DA for Travis County ought to be responsive to Travis County and not to national movements that may or may not have any relevance at all in Travis County. Maybe good for Philadelphia, maybe good for Boston, but I have the roots and the knowledge about what's done here and needs to happen here. So to me, that's the critical question here is, am I being responsive to this community and responsible for these prosecutions? And I can tell you that the one other thing about taking everything to a grand jury is you'll never know what your district attorney really thinks. It's, as one person wrote to me, it's the ultimate cop-out. I take everything to the grand jury, and 12 citizens, and 12 citizens only, decide what's going to happen.
Something else that Mr. Garza brought up was police video. Right now, Texas law enforcement agencies have discretion to decide whether to release video if a person dies in custody. There is a push from many people across the state who value open records, transparency, to release that type of video as soon as possible. DA Moore, what is your policy right now, and could you change your policies with that moving forward?
My policy is that we do agree to the release of video. The Austin Police Department just adopted a new policy a couple of months ago, and in it we participated in the work group that put this policy together, and it is a release a video unless, so it has a time frame in it, and we did agree to that. Most recently, I agreed to the release of the video in Mr. Ambler's case. I believe in transparency. I am deeply committed to it. I worked in the legislature in '73. We passed open meetings and open records. So we definitely err on the side of transparency.
Mr. Garza, if elected, how would your office handle that policy moving forward?
Well, as I said, I think there are several steps that we need to take to increase transparency in the district attorney's office, particularly when it comes to police-involved shootings and to police violence against members of our community. I believe that our community has a right to see the body camera footage as soon as possible, and we will work towards that goal. That's why I think it's important to publish a do not call list so that we're not allowing officers who have engaged in this conduct to taint our criminal justice system. That's why I have committed to releasing public statements regularly about these cases so that the community, and most importantly, families, have a sense that justice is being pursued in their cases. I also want to talk, Josh, for just a little bit about the local movement that has supported and fueled our campaign. People over the last 4 weeks, if not longer, have been pouring into the streets right here in Travis County, tens and thousands of them, because they can see with their own eyes what's happening right here in Travis County. They can see that over 70% of people sitting in our jails have not been convicted of a crime. The majority are sitting there because they can't afford to pay bail. They can see that 9% of our population is Black, but 30% of all arrests for drug possession are of members of the Black community. I am proud to have the support of the Black Austin Democrats here in Travis County and a slew of other local organizations. But Josh, the endorsement that matters to me most is the endorsement that I received on election night back in March, when I was so grateful and so proud to receive the votes of over 80,000 people living in Travis County, more than any other candidate in this race. That is the strength and the power of the local movement that has fueled our campaign, that will fuel us to victory in just 2 weeks, and that is demanding change in our criminal justice system.
Since you brought up minority communities, I want to ask you, how would you plan to address concerns that some critics have that there is still too severe a punishment for minor offenses like low-level drug offenses when it comes to minority suspects?
So every single year in Travis County, our district attorney's office, in the most progressive county in the state, brings more drug charges than any other kind of offense. Even though the data is overwhelmingly clear at this point in our 60-year war on drugs. The data is clear that every day that a person struggling with substance use disorder stays in jail, the likelihood that they will commit another crime goes up. Continuing to use so many of our resources to lock people up because they're struggling with substance use increases the likelihood that they will commit more crimes, and that makes our community less safe. But the data is also clear when it comes to racial disparities with respect to drug offenses in Travis County. The data is clear that substance use is consistent in our community across race and ethnicity. That means that white people, brown people, and Black people are all using drugs at about the same amounts and frequency. But when you look at arrest and conviction data, we know that, as I just mentioned, 9% of our population is Black, but 30% of all arrests for drug possession are of members of the Black community. We know that the number one way that people get arrested for drug possession is through traffic stops. And we know that over 60% of people stopped, arrested, and prosecuted for drug possession are people of color. It is time to end the prosecution of low-level drug offenses here in Travis County, because that will lead us out of this path that we have been on for 400 years of a criminal justice system that weighs heavily on people of color, and because it is the way to use our resources that will make us most safe.
District Attorney, how do you respond to those critics who say that there is a disproportionate number of minority community members that are prosecuted for crimes like that?
Well, we did a study on possession of a controlled substance under agreement. One thing I need to really emphasize here is that we don't prosecute marijuana cases. I'm at the felony level. Our biggest problems are methamphetamine, crack or cocaine, and heroin. Those are big problems. We do have a big THC problem, but we're not prosecuting those cases right now because of testing issues. What have we done? I got a study to look at what was happening in the criminal justice system. And that study did tell us, this expert's opinion was, that the numbers did not support the assertion that minorities are treated differently in the criminal justice system. Whether they got bond, whether they got a dismissal, whether they got diversion, whatever happened to the case, race was not a factor. What was a factor was whether or not you had retained or appointed counsel. And it was that study that enabled us then to move forward with public defender's office, which I have long called for in Travis County. So what have we done about cases? Well, they said you got to look upstream. You got to look upstream because I'm sorry, did I go away? Because
no, you're still there. You're still there.
There was a Zoom message that flashed across. Look upstream at what is happening out on the street. So what I've done in my office is say to my prosecutors, you have prosecutorial discretion to dismiss a case if you believe there was no public safety reason for that arrest. If it was just a traffic stop, a pretext traffic stop, then you have authority to dismiss it. And we are running at a 59% dismissal rate right now. We are also diverting, and have for many, many years, diverting first, second time offenders. What we are down to in Travis County is a very knotty problem. And it's not easily solved. And it's certainly not solved by saying, I'm going to stop enforcing the law, in my opinion. We have neighborhoods that are riddled with drug use and crime. And those neighborhoods ask for relief. And they want their park cleaned up so their kids can play in it. And they want their parking lots in their apartment complex to be rid of the drug dealers so their kids can ride their bikes. They want to have normal lives. They call the police because they want enforcement. So what we have to do as prosecutors is work with law enforcement and continue to discern in a mindful way what is the public safety need here. And at the same time, promote the options to get treatment, to clean your life up, to change the way you're living. So we have a state jail court, and in it you are offered the opportunity to take community supervision or get a diversion so that you can go and get treatment and have your case dismissed. But I'll be honest with you, most of the folks on that state jail docket have lengthy criminal histories, and they're not just drugs. So it is a much more difficult problem than just saying, I'm going to quit enforcing the law and everything will just get better.
What other ideas do you have in that realm?
Well, we're working now with the police department, Austin Police Department, on a deflection program. We studied a thing called LEAD, Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, that is in place in other cities, Albany, Seattle. There are kind of variations on that in other jurisdictions. So we did a big study looking at all these different options. And we sat down with the assistant chiefs over there and said, all right, what can we do instead of these folks being brought to booking? If you encounter someone that you think could be better served or deflected out of the system, then we could refer them for services, for an assessment in services without ever being arrested, and we would never have a case. And we're on the path to that. We applied for a grant, and I pledged $100,000 of forfeited property money from drug dealers mostly to start this program. It's very promising, and I'm hopeful that by the beginning of the year we'll have this thing up and running. There are other factors outside my control, of course, because there's been a lot of activity diverting attention from this by the police. But they're committed. They've got their criteria, and we've got a provider who's willing to do the assessment. So I think we're shaping up. And we know we want to target areas where the arrest rates disparately impacting particular minorities.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Garza, do you have ideas to address this problem as well?
Josh, this is such an important topic, and I'm glad that we have an opportunity to talk about it at length. What the district attorney is talking about, the LEAD program. The LEAD program is ending the prosecution of drug offenses. What the deflection pilot that the district attorney's office is talking about is ending the prosecution of drug offenses. And listen, we have been targeting neighborhoods in our criminal justice system for generations, and we have seen the result of those kinds of practices. As I said earlier, all neighborhoods in Travis County are riddled with drug use. Substance use is consistent across our county. It's not just some neighborhoods or some communities where there is a substance use problem. And Josh, we don't need a study to tell us that there are that different people get treated differently in our criminal justice system. The data is overwhelmingly clear. As I said, 9% of the population is Black, 30% of all arrests for drug possession are of members of the Black community. 60% of all traffic stops are of people of color. It is time to end the prosecution of low-level drug offenses, and it is time to begin investing in programs and resources that we know work. Substance abuse doesn't work that way. You don't threaten someone to send them to jail to kick their addiction and then they stop using. That's just not how it works. So we need to be investing more in drug-assisted treatment programs. We need to be providing harm reduction approaches to substance use. That's what happens in communities like Seattle with the LEAD program. It's time for our criminal justice system to be a part of the solution and not just a part of the problem.
District Attorney, a lot has changed in the last few weeks alone when it comes to racial equality. How has what you've seen happening right here in our community possibly changed the way that you're thinking about this topic moving forward? You can respond, District Attorney.
All right. I'm just thinking back on the decades that I've been in Travis County and how I've watched the struggle for racial equality take place here. My office is built on the idea of diversity, and my office has been built upon the idea that we are progressive and we are forward thinking. So when we have trainings about sensitivity to these issues, we have open discussions about how is this affecting what's going on. We've instituted new practices to ensure that we don't discriminate as we are disposing of cases. We have a new program in place where the trial chiefs and the director over the trial division actually review plea bargains and make sure, hey, are we doing the same thing in the different courts? Are we consistently applying the law? Are we consistently looking at mitigating factors about these defendants? But remember, we are handling felonies and we are focusing on violent crimes. And the fact of the matter is that right now, in our jail, being held are people who are charged. We have homicide, capital murder. We have over 53 sexual offenders, 133 robbery defendants, 534 assault defendants, 7 kidnapping charges, and 101 burglaries. Those are the kinds of crimes that the juries in Travis County have consistently showed us they do not tolerate. And when you're dealing with those kinds of crime, it is really not a matter of race. It's a matter of community safety. So in the area of the low-level offenses, I am totally in support of and have been a leader in putting together programming that will change those numbers. That's why we did the study, so we could see how we could change that. But I have to tell you, at the higher levels, we still got to prosecute violent crime.
Mr. Garza, what has the recent weeks that we've seen here playing out when it comes to racial equality in our community, how has that shaped how you would possibly tackle this job if you're elected?
Well, it hasn't changed how I would tackle this job one bit. What it has done, and I'm incredibly grateful for this, is that it has opened the eyes of millions of people across the country and of tens of thousands of people right here in our community, what we have all known for so long. I started my career as a public defender on the border, fighting for equality, fighting to make sure this system doesn't weigh so heavily on working class people. And I have taken that fight throughout the entirety of my career, whether in the Obama administration or whether as the leader of Workers' Defense Project, where I fought side by side with working class people, particularly and predominantly undocumented working class people, to fight for their equality. Josh, for the last 400 years in this country, we have been sold this bill of goods. We have been sold the idea that what public safety is locking up as many working class people and people of color as possible, that if we just lock up enough people of color, that will make us safe. But we know from the data and from our own lived experience that that's not the case. We know that what public safety is a good job. What public safety is access to health care. What public safety is stability. Stability creates public safety. It is time to fundamentally reimagine the job of the district attorney's office and who is equipped to be the district attorney. We have been electing career prosecutors for as long as there have been district attorney's offices. And surprisingly, nothing has changed. It is time to fundamentally rethink how we do this. And I also think part of this really important discussion, Josh, about public safety means that it is really time to end the fear-mongering around our criminal legal system. I checked the last jail report, and the overwhelming majority of people in our jail had not been convicted of a crime yet. The majority of people sitting in our jail were charged with felonies, and the majority of people sitting in our jail were not charged with violent offenses. So it's time to follow evidence-based practices that we know will keep our community safe.
I do want to talk about the other big issue that has been a part of our community for the last several months, COVID-19. Travis County jail population has been reduced through personal bonds and a suspension of arrest warrants for certain nonviolent offenses. If elected, Mr. Garza, do you plan to continue these efforts beyond the pandemic, and how? Or would you return to the standard practice?
Well, we should be clear about what having so many people in our jail does, about the real public health threat that it poses, not just to people in the jail, but to our entire community. You probably know that jails are relatively high churn places. People come in and out of them frequently, not just people charged with crimes, but people who work there and family members. What we know is across the state, across the country, jails are breeding grounds for COVID-19. It is imperative for our public safety that we reduce the population of people in our jails. And I think we have not gone far enough, and I think we should do more to keep our community safe. I think every person who is sitting in our jail, simply because they can't afford to pay bail, should be released. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it would keep us more safe as this virus spreads like wildfire here throughout the state. I think we need to seriously consider arrest and charging misdemeanor and state jail offenses to keep the population of our jail down, low-level offenses to stop the spread of COVID-19 in our community.
District Attorney, we heard about more cases in the Travis County Jail just today. Would you continue this practice of sending some of those offenses away from jail after the pandemic is over, or would you continue that practice?
Well, part of it we will continue. It was on the table before the pandemic. The automatic personal bond program was already underway. We had been studying that for months before the pandemic. I disagree with Mr. Garza about the way he characterizes our jail population. I don't know what reports he's looking at, but I get them all the time. We get a daily jail report, and the overwhelming majority of people in the jail are charged with very serious offenses. I just read them off: murder, robbery, sexual offenses, assaults. Our assault rate is way up. Kidnapping, burglary. These are serious crimes. What happens in Travis County is that a judge sets bail, and a judge decides whether or not a person should get a personal bond. What we've done here is streamline that. And we have, I think the sheriff has done a magnificent job of keeping COVID out of her jail. She has worked hard, and they have amazing procedures in place. And we have defended successfully writs to get violent offenders out on a COVID-19 writ because of her procedures. So there is a public safety issue here. And when he says release anyone who can't afford their bail, he's including the robbers, the murderers, the sexual assaulters, the family violence felons, the kidnappers, and the burglaries that I've listed here. What a lot of people also don't understand about who's in our jail is that there are about 800 of them that are there because Texas Department of Corrections hasn't accepted them yet. They're on a parole violation. They're on a probation violation. So, or they're waiting for a bed in a mental health facility because they've been declared incompetent and there's no place to put them yet. So our sheriff is charged with an incredible responsibility. We all pitched in at the beginning of this pandemic and said, we're going to work together to get that jail population down and to help the sheriff out. She sent out a memo to all her law enforcement agencies in the county and said, please don't make low-level arrests if you don't have to. And we also, the county attorney and I, proposed an order that the judges did sign that suspended the execution of warrants on these low-level cases for this during this time. What will happen when the pandemic is over? Well, it's very difficult to predict because I'm not sure that we're going to be out from under the cloud of this virus for many months to come. I don't know ultimately what we'll do about those unexecuted warrants, but it will be something that the judges and all of us will work together to address. And I guess that's the last thing I would say is that this is a job in this environment that requires an intimate knowledge of process and a deep respect for the other elected officials that have their jobs to do in this same environment. And we have been very successful in our collaboration, bringing our jail population down by over 20% since the beginning of the pandemic. And it was already at levels that we hadn't seen here since the 90s. So I want to continue that. I think I have the kind of knowledge and experience and relationships throughout the system to be able to know here's what we can continue to do that will keep us still safe and will keep this system running even though we're not out from under the viral threat.
Mr. Garza, would you respond to the district attorney's suggestion that you would release violent offenders?
Josh, yeah, there appears to be some confusion about my position and what I just said 5 minutes ago. So I would appreciate the opportunity to just be clear about this. First, I did not say that the majority of people in our jail were not charged with serious offenses. I said they were not charged with violent offenses. And there is a big difference. The second thing is that I did not say that everyone who can't afford to pay bail should be released. What I said is that people shouldn't be held simply because they can't afford to pay bail. The standard that I think our community demands of us is they want people who pose a threat to our community to be held in jail, to keep our community safe. And I think there's a pretty simple, easy to understand test about what that means. If a person is accused to have committed a crime of violence or accused to have committed a crime of violence near in time to the offense that they're accused of, then they pose a threat to our community and they should be held in jail until their charges can be adjudicated. But someone who doesn't pose a threat to our community shouldn't be held simply because they can't afford to pay bail. And as I just said, the majority of people sitting in our jail are not charged with violent crimes. We are not leading in this area. In fact, we are quite behind other communities across the state and across the country when it comes to locking people up simply because they can't afford to pay bail. Really, it's time to return to viewing all of these systems through the lens of what will keep our community most safe.
You know, the other public health issue that's a big concern here in Texas and the nation is mental illness. And in Travis County, specifically with the jail, we do have diversion programs for certain offenses. And we do have a mental health court that does field some of those offenses. But what more, if you were elected, Mr. Garza, would your office do to meet the needs of those inmates that are suffering every day from mental illness?
60% of people in Travis County who struggle with substance use also struggle with mental health problems. And so what we see is that by using so many of our resources to lock people up because they're struggling with substance use, we're also using so many of our resources to lock people up who struggle with mental illness. And so by ending the prosecution of low-level drug offenses, we can begin to address the root harm that has entered so many people into our criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system is not well suited to address substance use or mental health illnesses. It's time to pull back the rug of our criminal justice system and invest in other resources that we know are proven and we know work. But there are other steps that we have to take. I think the city has to do more to ensure that, that EMS and other trained professionals are the people who are responding when a family is in mental health crisis. I think there is we have much farther to go in that direction. Listen, our police department is incredibly busy and has a very dangerous job. They don't need to be responding every time someone has a mental health crisis. I know personally families that I have worked with throughout my career whose children have been ripped from them, put in jail because they were in the middle of a mental health crisis. We know that it is time to use different, better trained resources to address people struggling with mental illness and to get those cases out of our criminal legal system.
District Attorney Moore, what more can your office do if you are reelected to address the mental health problem in Travis County Jail?
This is one of the knottiest and most difficult issues that we face. I completely agree that we do not want to be treating these people in jail. But remember, we do deal with felonies. And so we have a mental health docket, and I have created a mental health prosecutor in my office. She's a very experienced lawyer who handles that docket. And there is a constant working to see, can we get this person engaged in mental health services? I totally agree that we need more services in this community. Everyone agrees with that. I sit on the Psychiatric Stakeholders Committee, and there's a Behavioral and the Criminal Justice Health Advisory Committee that we participate in. The sheriff is deeply committed to this. I think we're all struggling to say what's the best way, how can we handle that? I know that we have a mobile crisis outreach team, and we've all supported putting more resources into that so that mental health professionals respond to crises instead of law enforcement. Unfortunately, that does not apply when there is a threat of violence on the part of the person having the mental health crisis. And we still haven't found a good solution when they are, and brandishing a weapon and threatening their family members, things like that. They end up in our system, and we've got to figure out what to do with them. I would say that as district attorney, I have been and will continue to be supportive of all options that address these cases more reasonably. I know that as part of the defund the police effort, there is an examination taking place about some other way for these crises to be responded to, and I look forward to seeing what solutions they do come up with. On our end, when it comes to these are in our court system and we've got to deal with them, we intend to expand upon the mental health docket that we've got in hopes that we can fold into it better access to services, but we're dependent upon the funders in this community to come up with those services.
District Attorney, there are groups who believe more should be done with this office when it comes to the way sexual assault cases are handled. What more could you do to protect those victims?
I
find this to be one of the most frustrating issues that I've faced, because if you look at our record, we are at the front of the pack here. I have created an adult sexual assault unit that I'm so proud of. It now has 3 lawyers in it. It has an investigator. It has victim witness counselors and a navigator to help these victims get to services. So the idea that we do not serve victims well with our prosecution unit is absolutely false. I came into this office, created this unit, added resources to it when it was tough to do so, but I have a supportive commissioner's court. And we have, in my three years compared to the 3 years before I came, we increased pleas and conviction findings of guilt by 114%. We've tripled the number of jury trials. We went through a crisis with the DNA lab that kept our jury trials down our first year because we had to have so many cases retested. We have now formed an interagency sexual assault team with all of our law enforcement partners in the county, including not just APD, but the University of Texas, Pflugerville, Lakeway, Maynard, Cedar Park, St. Ed's Police Department. These are law enforcement entities that want to come together and do a better job. And we also have the Safe Alliance involved in the ISAT to represent the voices of victims, because they, of course, do the rape exams at their Eloise house. So we have formed this so that we are more collaborative. We do better training. My prosecutors go and train police officers on how to be better witnesses. And when we try these cases, we're not just trying easy cases. We're trying tough cases. We're trying cases where the victim was heavily intoxicated and couldn't even identify her assailant. We're trying cases where there was a relationship between the victim and the defendant. We tried a case to a jury where the young woman was actually a sex worker and assaulted by her John, and we won that case. We've lost some because these are hard cases. Texas law on sexual assault requires the state to prove lack of consent beyond a reasonable doubt, and they've defined lack of consent in very specific ways. I went to the legislature last session and stood up with Kirk Watson on a bill where he was trying to address this problem. I did that. I called together a roundtable of prosecutors across the state to talk about how each and every one of us are facing these same problems. And I also took national literature that's been promulgated to give prosecutors their benchmarks for best practices, and we are following them. We have a specialized unit. We have vertical prosecution so that one prosecutor follows the case all the way through. We do staff cases with law enforcement. We do have victim witness counselors that are trauma informed and victim centered. We have done all of the things that these best practice documents say you have to do, including don't look at convictions as the only measure of success. Go in and try the hard cases. We are doing all of that, and the record shows it.
Mr. Garza, would you change anything beyond what's being done right now?
I absolutely would. And the fact and the record on these cases, Josh, is really clear. Our district attorney has lost the trust of survivors of sexual assault in our community. And survivors in our community feel like they can't get justice and like they're not being heard in this system. The facts and the record, as I said, are clear. Our district attorney has been the subject of 2 lawsuits related to that office's handling of sexual assault cases. Our district attorney was forced to resign from the statewide task force on sexual assault. And when we talk about collaboration, it has been well documented that there is a collaboration here in town called the SART, the Sexual Assault Response and Resource Team, that was a model for how this issue should be handled. Law enforcement was at the table. Survivors of sexual assault were at the table. Advocates for survivors of sexual assault were at the table. And our district attorney walked away from that collaboration and formed the new collaboration that she's described with other law enforcement agencies. That's not leadership. I understand that the criticisms of survivors of sexual assault are difficult to hear, but they deserve to be heard. And when we win, they will be. One of the first things that we will do is return to the SART so that survivors and advocates can once again have a seat and a voice at the table. I have been listening and visiting with survivors and advocates for over a year, and recently rolled out a new set of commitments that we are making to ensure that survivors can have justice in our community. And again, chief among them is returning to the SART, but there's so much more. Our community deserves transparency about how these cases are being handled. Josh, I like to talk a lot about 2018, although the data is relatively the same across the last 4 years. Just to give people a sense, in 2018, the district attorney's office prosecuted approximately 70 cases of sexual assault, less than 10% of all cases brought forward by APD in that year. In the same year, the district attorney's office prosecuted 2,700 drug cases. Those are the current priorities of our district attorney's office. Victims deserve to meet with prosecutors in face-to-face meetings. They deserve to get to choose how they will be communicated with. They get to be heard on what justice means to them. And that's what we're going to do when we win.
We are almost out of time, but District Attorney, I do want to give you a chance to respond to, he had several things to say, specifically the task force, trust from victims, the number of prosecutions. Can you address that quickly?
He can make a whole lot of promises, but one thing he has not done, he's not been in a courtroom on a felony case. He has not sat with a rape victim and prepared her for trial. He has not talked to any of the victims who've been through the trial experience and been served by our office. He has not sat in a courtroom like this DA has, like I have, with the parents of that victim, with the victim herself, been there when the jury comes in, holding her hand, walking out with her while she throws up because the jury found her assailant not guilty. He hasn't been back in the jury rooms talking to those jurors to figure out what it was they were thinking. He has not done this work. He is a Monday morning quarterback who has never taken the field. we care. We care deeply about these cases. That's why we staff them and work them and try them. And there will always be victims who aren't served well by the criminal justice system, but they are served well by this district attorney.
Certainly not an easy job to do. And as we know, early voting is underway right now. People watching this are ready to make their decision. I want to start with Mr. Garza. You have 1 minute to give us kind of your final thoughts on this and why you think the people who are watching tonight should cast their ballot for you.
Well, Josh, as I mentioned, I started my career as a public defender on the border. And where I sat in felony courtrooms where I tried cases to juries in both state and federal court, I have sat and talked to victims. I have seen their pain and their anguish over the way this justice system treats them. And I believe that their voices shouldn't be minimized. What I know, what I have seen, is that the injustice that people of color are feeling right now, the injustice that working class people are feeling right now, the injustice that victims and survivors of sexual assault are feeling right now, all flows from the same broken system. And it is time for us to reimagine the job of the district attorney and what our criminal justice system can and should be here in Travis County.
All right, District Attorney, you also have 1 minute to speak with voters.
What I offer is experience versus the ambition. And I also offer a record over rhetoric. But most important, I've offered progress over promises. The root word for progressive is progress, and I can show that progress. I don't have to just promise it. How did we in Travis County get to be the most progressive county in Texas? Well, I can tell you, it's because of people like me and the people who support me, the leaders who have spent decades building the most progressive county in Texas and who are still dedicated today. I asked the voters who have elected the judges, the commissioners, the city council, who are so progressive, I asked those same voters, send me back, give me the chance to continue to build on this record, because we are on the cusp of great breakthroughs here. But it's going to take people who know how to spend tax dollars, who know how to collaborate with others, and who understand this system up and down. In short, experience matters, and it matters very much right now. I'm asking the voters, send me back. Keep me on the job.
Well, that concludes our conversation with José Garza and Margaret Moore, the two candidates in the Democratic runoff for Travis County District Attorney. We thank both of the candidates for joining us this evening, and we thank you for watching. And we'll send it back to Will Dupree in the KXAN live studio.
All right, thank you so much, Josh, for that, and for the candidates for participating in this conversation this evening. Early voting, we'll remind you, is starting today. So take a look at this full screen right here with some information about the election date. Early voting in the runoff. Early voting, will remind you, started today and runs through July 10th. Election day is July 14th. In the district attorney's race, the winner of the runoff between Garza and Moore will face Republican Martin Harry in November. As a programming note, we'll point out that KXAN's Avery Travis will be wrapping up tonight's conversation. You can see her story tonight on KXAN News at 10 o'clock and over on KXAN.com. Once again, I'm Will Dupree. Thank you so much for watching. Please, everyone, stay safe and healthy, and if at all possible, still at home.